Welcome to the class of drug discovery. Dear students, today we are going to study about the protein structure in reference to the function. How the structure and function is used in the drug discovery process. What is the role of protein structure and function? Because target, it is important. The protein structure and function is important because in the drug discovery process we are targeting the protein targets. Target protein is from pathogenic bacteria and viruses, so that play an important role. We have already identified the target and we have validated which one is our potential target. Now we are on the stage that we can design the drug according to the target structure. How we will do that? First we should know about the structure and function of the protein. Here in the figure you can see this is the free subunit. Are you able to see? And on the right hand side you can see the assembled structure, dimer protein. So these are two different subunits. After binding they are showing the structure. Okay, so before binding you can see, after binding you can see. Okay, on the left hand side that is the free subunit, and on the right hand side this is the assembled structures, dimer. So in the A figure you are able to see this. In the B figure you can see there is a binding site. In the A figure also you are able to see that is the binding site. You can see this is a slightly curved position, means inside the protein. Okay, so that any molecule or drug molecule can bind there. So you can see the binding site in the figure A also. So what happened? Protein bind on that side. The another subunit is binding to that site, binding site. Okay, in the figure B also you can see a different shape of the structure, different types of protein which have the different structure. So you can see there are the two binding sites here. Okay, and in that you can see the different subunits can bind here, which is compatible, which has the compatible structure. Okay, so here you can see on the right hand side means how the different subunit is binding to this. Are you able to see? If anyone is compatible to this side, this will bind to the main binding site, and there is some allosteric site also. So there are different types of subunits are binding, which shows the compatibility or complementary structure to the target subunit. So here you can see how the different subunits bind with each other. Are you able to understand this? Do you have any question here? Actually protein has a free subunit, has the binding sites. Now what is happening here? The different subunits are binding different protein structure. What is dimer? These are two subunits. What is subunit? That is domain. So on the left hand side you are able to see the domain structure, free domain. Free subunit means free domain. Okay, subunit is domain, well defined subunit of protein. What is domain? Well defined subunit of protein with a specific biological activity. That is the definition of domain. Now we are studying domain in the detail. Okay, well, how it function. There is a binding site. Okay, and in the C figure you can see there are the two different binding sites and subunits are binding in the different order. So here you can see in the helical structure how the subunits are binding with each other. But that's not only the, actually these are the model structure that are shown for the for the understanding. Actually it doesn't happen like in this way, means in the single domain we have the helical structure, but they have shown the how the different, how using the different subunits how we can make the helix. But actually helix is the part of a single subunit. So this thing you can only take for the understanding. Okay, now next, actin helix. This is the structure of actin helix. So you are able to see here the structure of, this is a fibrous structure. Now here you can see virus code protein. Okay, Okay, actually it happens in the virus. There are the different subunits, and in the virus it happens actually. So in the viral protein, it is like that. They make the ring structure. They make the virus coat protein. You can see these are the spherical subunits, filamentous subunits, helical. You can also take the TMV example. The subunits are arranged like this, helical tube. In the tobacco mosaic virus. Is it clear to you? So these are how the subunits are arranged. This is also one example. The name of book is given here, the Garland Science. Now here you can see short section of a collagen fibril, collagen molecule. So in the collagen molecule we have 3 helix, means triple helix. Triple helix, they are wrapped around each other. Okay, that is how the different girls used to make the, okay, used to comb the hair and used to make the different hairstyles. So it is also the pattern like the collagen structure. It is also triple helix. Okay, elastic fiber. So in elastic fiber we have this structure, this type of structure. Okay, that can be it has elasticity. So there may be changes also, because elasticity means what? Means it can be transformed. It has a transformation ability. So when it is relaxed, it is in this form, upper form. When it is stretched, it is in this form. You can see here. In the clothes also, in your clothes, when you wear the clothes, in the belt also, sometimes we have this structure. When you stretch, it is like this, and when it is in the relaxed state, it is like this. In some of the pants we used to find this in the children, in the pants of the children we have the elastic. So when we stretch it, it is in this form. When it is relaxed, it is in this form. You can see, you can see the example of the elastic of the pants, like children pants. When we wear, it is stretched. When we don't wear it, it is relaxed. So here you are able to see this structure in the B. Do you have any question now? Do you have any question? Now come to this. This is another protein which has cysteine. If the protein or polypeptide chain contains cysteine, it is going to make the disulfide bond with the chain. So there may be the different types of bond formation between the chain. Interchain disulfide bond means two different polypeptide chain can make the disulfide bond. They can be connected with each other using the disulfide bond. And there may be intrachain disulfide bond. In the bottom panel you can see there is the intrachain disulfide bond, means which is the disulfide bond between a single polypeptide chain. Means internal cysteine residue are interacting with each other and they are making the disulfide bond. So clearly you can see the bond formation. So in the first example or in the upper panel you can see there is the polypeptide bond, disulfide bond formation between the two different polypeptide chain, that is called interchain disulfide bond. In the bottom panel you can see disulfide bond formation within the same polypeptide chain, that is called intrachain disulfide bond. What is disulfide bond? This bond formation occur when two cysteine residue interact with each other. Now is it clear to you? Do you have any question here? Do you have any question here? Now it must be understood. So if we use any oxidant, it will form the disulfide bonds. Okay. Again if you want to back in that condition, we have to use the reducing agents. Okay. So there is a This disulfide bond is important for the folding of the polypeptide chain, how the subunit is formed. So in the domain structure formation or in the subunit formation, disulfide bond is also important after hydrogen bond, van der Waals interaction, electrostatic interaction, ionic bond. So this bond, disulfide bond, is play an important role in the folding of polypeptide chain. Now here you can see how we are going to design the ligand. Actually ligand interact with the protein. Okay, now in this figure we have binding site. Are you able to see? We have protein and we have ligand. Ligand is going to interact with the binding site. This is the general process. And any ligand can be anything. It can be substrate also, it can be inhibitor also. And we have protein that is shown in the green color. We have ligand that is shown in the yellow color. Now ligand is going to interact. It is going to make the hydrogen bond here. So before hydrogen bonding, there is the there is the other type of interaction also, weak non-covalent bonds, and there are some other interaction also. We should say these are the interactions. Weak non-covalent bond means we can call them the interaction also. There are some hydrophobic interaction also, but there are van der Waals interaction and electrostatic interaction that play an important role. On the left hand side you can see ligand and proteins are in two different, they are separated. Now they are in the separate form. Now the ligand is going to interact with this side, with the protein, means ligand is going to interact with this. Okay, just fit it together. So how it will happen? So electrostatic interaction and van der Waals interaction play an important role. How the ligand will come close to the protein. Weak non-covalent bonds, ligand is interacting with the protein. So now you can see there is the role of weak non-covalent interactions also. So now here you can see how the ligand is going to interact with the protein. So there is a, for this change, how the ligand is, delta G should be negative. Delta G play an important, there should be free energy also. Free energy will be used in the interaction so that reaction can be spontaneous. So first of all there will be the bond cleavage. After the cleavage there will be the bond reformation. So first of all the bond of the protein, some of the bond of the protein will be cleaved. Then the ligand will make the bond with the protein. Okay, in that way the ligand will be fitted to the protein. It will bind to the binding site. So there is a lot of process, there is a lot of transition kinetics is going to be involved here. We can explain using enzyme kinetics how the substrate is going to interact with the protein. So now in place of ligand, in place of substrate we can take the drug or any inhibitor molecule and we can inhibit the protein binding site, target protein binding site, protein binding site from pathogenic bacteria, and we can block that bacteria or viral protein, and we can kill that bacteria and viral protein because we use the pathogenic protein and pathogenic proteins to cure the disease. Because we want to kill the bacteria, we want to cure the disease, so we take the target protein of the pathogenic bacteria and virus and we design the drug for that. So drug similar to the substrate, we design the drug. So we use the competitive inhibition for this mechanism. Competitive inhibition mechanism is important, okay, because the any change should be reversible. If drug is binding in place of ligand, ligand is the inhibitor or any drug molecule that is going to inhibit this. So that change should be reversible so that it can be exhaled out from the body. So here you can see how the amino acid chains are interacting with each other, and unfolded protein after folding binding sites. After folding, this is the protein and these are the binding sites. in the folded protein. So folded protein is called domain. We call this domain structure subunit. Now there is the hydrogen bond formation here between the polypeptide chain, and that makes the helical structure. Yes. So in the different structure, loop that bind the antigens, there are some loop that bind the antigens. And what is antigen? Pathogenic protein, variable domain of light chain, constant domain of light chains. So this is the antigen structure, and there is also antigen binding sites, antigens, heavy, there is a heavy chain, light chain. So this is the structure of the antigen. Okay, and protein, some other protein bind to the antigen, that is called, means in our body it is antibody. Antibody bind to the antigen. Antibody is produced against the antigen. In our body it happens. So according to the antigen structure, the antibodies are produced. So there is the binding between antibody and antigen. Now for the antigen, what we do in the drug discovery, we design the drug. In place of antibody, we design the drug so that it can bind to the antigen binding site. Okay. So here in this structure, it is clear how there are the different types of domain. Folding of polypeptide chain is occurred due to the presence of different types of bond. Mainly the disulfide bond play an important role in that. Okay, now it is clear. So here you can see how this happened, what is the mechanism. So in this lecture we are studying how the protein function, how it is important for the drug designing process also. Okay, because for optimization of lead it is important to know about the structure of the protein, target protein, then only we can design the better drug, best drug. So there is a substrate that bind to the enzyme. This is the in the second figure, in the second step, enzyme substrate complex is formed. Then there is the enzyme and product. Then after substrate binding, there is the formation of enzyme and product. This is the complex of enzyme and product. Then after that it is separated. Enzyme is separated from product. Then product is released. So here you can see. So there is the change. Okay. So any substrate bind with the enzyme. So what we do in the drug discovery process, we replace the substrate with the inhibitor molecule like drug. So the mechanism is same. This is the process of reversible. You can show the reverse backward and forward arrow. Reaction is reversible reaction we use. For the uncompetitive change, uncompetitive inhibition, there is a no change. We will use only single arrow, but here backward and forward arrow should be used to display the reversible process. So in the detail you can see in this figure, substrate and product, what is the difference between these two and how it is going to happen. This substrate is an oligosaccharide of 6 sugars labeled E2F. Only sugar D and E are shown in detail. So here you can see these are the substrate. So mainly in our body, glucose is the main substrate to provide the energy. In the glycolysis also the glucose is the substrate. So okay. So in the enzyme substrate complex, the enzyme forces sugar D into strained conformation with glutamic acid certified position to serve as an acid and attack the adjacent sugar bond by donating a proton to sugar E enzyme is. Now aspartic acid 5 in the 5th position pointed to attack the C1. So it is explained how the different amino acids interact with the sugar. So there is the sugar, how the substrate is interacting with the protein. So you can see there is the bond formation between the sugar and glutamic acid 35 and aspartic acid 5, fifth position, on the fifth position. Now in the next figure you can see there is some change after bond formation. The aspartic acid 52 has formed a covalent bond between the enzyme and C1 carbon-carbon atom of sugar D. Okay. So this is another amino acid. When it will happen, in the first step, it will happen that glutamic acid on the 35 position and aspartic acid on the 5th position. Okay. Okay. It is served as an acid that attack the adjacent sugar bond by donating protons. So these play a role like a donor, the proton donor to sugar. And aspartic acid on the 5th position poised to attack the C1 carbon. So in the second step, aspartic acid 52 has formed the covalent bond. So this come into the action. The aspartic acid 52 come in the action after step 1. So it formed the bond between the enzyme and C1 carbon atom of sugar D, and glutamic acid 35 then polarize a water molecule that is shown in the red color, so that its oxygen can readily attack the C1 carbon atom. So it is explained in the second figure. Now come to the third figure, the reaction of the water molecule. Okay, complete the hydrolysis and return the enzyme to its initial stage, so that enzyme can be in the normal form and can do the normal function, forming the final enzyme product complex. Now the product is released, so enzyme will come in its original form. So you can see the final product are an oligosaccharide of 4 sugars and a disaccharide, okay, that is produced after the hydrolysis. So now here you can see, so all the amino acids are shown here. The above product is shown in the upper panel. The substrate and product structure is shown in the upper panel also. So in the figure, in the colored figure also you can compare. Now is it clear to you? So in the drug discovery process, we replace the substrate with inhibitor. So we design the inhibitor or any drug according to the substrate. We need to understand the mechanism of substrate binding with enzyme. How the substrate is binding with enzyme. The competitive inhibition mechanism of substrate. How it is going, the reversible binding of the substrate. Now in the drug discovery process, in the drug binding, we will replace substrate with drug or any inhibitor molecule. Is it clear? In our body, substrate is binding with the enzyme. In the pathogenic bacteria also, substrate is binding with the protein enzyme. But when we have been infected by the virus and bacteria, so our body has the foreign protein and foreign bacteria. Now we have to replace the substrate with the inhibitor. Then only we can inhibit the pathogenic bacteria and pathogenic protein. So to inhibit that pathogenic bacteria and pathogenic proteins, we design the drug or any inhibitor, so that disease can be cured. I think now you have understood. You can understand this in the more detail. Enzyme bind to 2 substrate molecule, okay, and orient them precisely to increase a reaction to occur between them. So here you can see how the enzyme bind with the substrate. Okay, yes, I am going to finish.
2 बजे से सर की क्लास है.
Okay, I am going to finish. The lecture is on recording. I have to complete it. Okay. So there are the two substrate. There are the 2 substrate that is binding with the protein. So now here you can see in the figure, you can see binding of in the figure B, you can see binding of substrate to enzyme rearranges the electrons in the substrate. There is some change in the substrate, and this create a partial negative and positive charges that favor a reaction. Now the reaction become favorable, the binding become easy, because here you can see this is the open form of protein. Now here you can see how the substrate change has made some changes, has rearranges by the electronics, okay, rearranges the electrons in the substrate, creating partial negative and positive charges that favor a reaction. Now in the figure C you can see enzyme strains the bound substrate molecule. Enzyme strains the bound substrate molecule, okay, because substrate has bound to the, that is now it is in the bound form enzyme substrate complex, but it is forcing the enzyme force the substrate, forcing it towards a transition state to favor a reaction. What happened actually when substrate is binding with the proteins enzyme, substrate force an interaction with the enzyme. So in reverse to that, in the reaction to that, enzyme also force its action to the on the substrate. But what happened? Only the transition action is accommodated. Okay, so there is the transition state. This is the in the figure A the change is done by substrate. In the figure B the change is done by the protein enzyme. Okay. Now in the figure C there is the adjustment by both substrate and enzyme. So this is the adjustment of substrate and protein enzyme. And now these two are adjusted with each other in the transition state. This is the transition form. Okay. So here in the figure A and B you can see. Okay. So there is a ferric ion that is binding. So this is the another structure. After binding there may be some difference. We discuss it. Okay, A, B and C there may be the different form. There may be transition form. How it is going. So this is the negative regulation. Sometimes the regulation it will be positive regulation, means there is a sometimes there is a negative regulation also, positive regulation and negative regulation. So we will discuss it. Okay, or the next one. So here but just I am showing you the example. This is the example of active enzyme and inactive enzyme. So this is the on position and this is off position. This is the inactive enzyme. So you can see the structural changes between the active protein and inactive protein. Inactive, and this is the active protein. In the bottom panel, in the bottom side, this is the active protein. In the upper side, this is the inactive protein. In the figure also you can see this is a 10% active protein in figure B, and in figure C we can see this is the 100% active protein. It's positive feedback. And these are the different examples: serine side chains, protein kinase, protein phosphatase. So these are domain structures, and how these are going to interact with it. There is the use of ATP also. Actually phosphorylation is a reaction that makes the active protein. Okay, kinase makes the protein active. Okay, because this is in the opposition, using the kinase the protein become active, and using the phosphatase protein becomes inactive. In the bottom figure you can see this is the active and inactive form. You can see here these are different steps: GTP used, then protein. Okay, this is an active form, then this is the inactive form, then this is the active form. So you can see how the active proteins are produced. These are the domain structure, different domain, and binding sites are shown here. How the GTP binding occur. This is the release of tRNA. In this figure also you can see these are the different transformational changes in the protein 1, 2 and 3. And when ATP bind, it change the structure. There is the ATP hydrolysis on the second step, and there is the release. Okay, release of phosphate group. Then it. Okay, you can see the different conformation changes in the same protein. There is a different conformation of the same protein. These are the different stages. Now it is over. So these are the now you can see in the same domain there can be so much changes. For the same protein you can have the different conformation. Here you can see in the figure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the different conformation changes within the same protein. I think now it is understood by everybody. Okay. Okay, now lecture is over.